We're delivering our rankings for the interior offensive linemen in the 2025 NFL Draft today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to issue a big thank you, shout out, and welcome to our everydayers. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much.
Joe, happy hump day to you. Happy Kyle fights. We'll see how much I have to say on today's show. Out of the blue, but talking into your offensive lineman, I did a whole bunch, including guys that are tackle eligible and tackle capable. So really excited to see how this group stacks out, because I think there's a lot of really interesting mid-round talent that's available in this year's class.
I really do kind of like the makeup of this group. I found myself really enjoying a lot of the guys that kind of project as like second, third round guys. I think there's some good starters in this group. And one guy that I really kind of fell hard for that I didn't expect. So I'm pretty excited to talk about these players.
Who's that?
It's a player from a school that had a offensive lineman drafted in the first round last year.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. Named after a Bible character, you know?
Okay.
Something about a whale, you know?
Yeah.
Nineveh, does that stand out, you know? We'll get there.
We won't have to wait too long to get to him, because he's in my top 5 interior offensive linemen in this year's class.
As he should be.
Go ahead, give me you made me go first last week. I need to give my voice box a little rest here.
Yeah, listen,
give me your top 5.
Feel like I'm the guy that loses his voice, and you know,
you are.
So welcome to the club. Kyle shows up today to the recording. All of a sudden, the man can't talk. Like, what happened? Heck of a birthday celebration, I hope. Are we doing top 5s? Is that where we're at?
Do top 5.
I gotta do top 6. Does that would include all my first and second round grades?
Okay.
I'm
in the same boat, so that's fine.
And again, we established this when we talked O-tackle earlier in the week. You have Will Campbell and Kelvin Banks as tackles. So I don't know how they're going to factor.
Going to make another appearance today.
Okay. All right. So I have them as interior offensive linemen. So my number 1 interior offensive lineman with a first round grade is Will Campbell out of LSU. My number 2 interior offensive lineman also carrying a first round grade is Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State. My number 3, late 1, early 2, Tyler Booker, Alabama. My number 4, late 1, early 2, Jonah Savaiinaea from Arizona. Boy, what a fun player he was.
And a human being, right? He's a brick house.
All the stuff, length, athleticism, positional flexibility. I am in on Jonah. Number 5, I have Tate Ratledge out of Georgia, second round grade. And at number 6, second round grade, Kelvin Banks out of Texas.
Okay, so I'm keeping Kelvin Banks with the tackles. He's not appearing for me today. But I had to acknowledge Will Campbell in the tackle conversation, but he is a guard for me. So he's my top-rated guard. I have first round grade on him. Tyler Booker is my second scheme-specific player, but really good within the scheme that he projects into. I have a late 1, early 2 on Tyler Booker. My third interior offensive lineman is Donovan Jackson from Ohio State. I know you have him as a tackle, but for me, I like him where he started this year and played the majority of his snaps, which is inside a guard. I think he could be a scheme transcendent and really dynamic player on the inside. So I have Donovan Jackson as my third. Gray Zabel from North Dakota State is my fourth. I have a firm 2 on Gray Zabel. I expect he'll go earlier than that. If I graded him as a center, he'd probably get a little bit of a higher grade than what he got at guard. So the further in you move him, the higher the grade he would get. And then my IOL 5 is Jonah Savaiinaea from Arizona. one of those guys that the more you watch, the more you like.
Yeah, I watched way too much today, more than I needed to.
And then Tate Ratledge also has a second-round grade for me. Those are the 6 interior offensive linemen I have graded with second-round grades or better.
So we got a lot of overlap there. I feel like we should talk a little bit more about Jonah. The size here is 6'4" and an eighth, 324 pounds, 34-inch arms. Heck of an athlete. I'm not sure he has to play guard. I think he's got the length, the movement skills, the frame to play out at tackle. I do think he's got to protect his inside hip a little bit better with some of the inside moves and keep his feet engaged. But the power, the hand strength, the ability to be rooted, leverage his hips, play with some extension, man, you saw some really good stuff there and a ton of functional strength. So I think he can be like a Morgan Moses level right tackle.
Okay.
And look, inside, maybe there's even a higher ceiling. But you could convince me that you let him fail at tackle before you play him at guard. But either way, I really liked the profile. I liked the tape. I thought he was kind of a guy that maybe deserves a little more hype based on what I watched.
If you've listened to this program in any of its iterations the last couple of years, it should be no surprise that Joe's in love with Savaiinaea. Did you see who his top comparable is on Mock Draftable?
No, who is it?
Tyler Smith.
Oh God, yeah.
So the athletic profile best match comparables, the top 3 names are Tyler Smith, Armand Membu, and Ike Ekwonu.
Oh geez.
It's like,
okay, I've got a type. I got a type for sure.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question he could be a sufficient level tackle, but I think he could be a really big difference maker on the inside if you're going to play him at guard. Just the raw power that he has, and you put that in a phone booth with kind of his build and 82.25-inch wingspan, and that was the combine measure. And they sold those guys short with their measurements across the board.
Yeah.
So with how broad he is and how long he is and how powerful his hands are and how dense his frame is, like you put that in a phone booth and the edges that he plays with are really, really firm. And I think that's the best thing about him. And that's why I agree with you. I think he's a good enough athlete to play on the edge of tackle. But I want that brick wall style, immovable element to his game. And then the power when he plays forward and plays downhill is really dynamic.
Yeah. So, okay, cool. We both like him quite a bit. Was there any big discrepancies? I'm a little higher on Zabel. You acknowledge that the centerpiece might give him a little bit of a bump.
Yeah.
He got a firm first-round grade for me. I like the temperament. I like the movement skills. I think in some of these schemes where they really kind of demand these interior players to get out in space and run and hit some backside reach blocks and get to the second level, I found such a useful skill set. And a player that's I get excited watching him. I just do. So I could see him. I think he's probably going to go in the first round, to be honest with you.
I expect him to go top 20.
Yeah.
I think there's enough landmines in that range and center capability for him that it would not surprise me one bit.
What'd you think of Tate Ratledge? Was he in both of our top 6s, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes. Yeah, he was my IOL 6.
Like a technician with power. That's a good thing to say.
I mean, he didn't have his best year this year. He was banged up a little bit. I just don't understand why there's not more heat and buzz on a guy that, I mean, dude, 6'6", 310 pounds or more for the playing weight, 1.72 10-yard split. It's 88th percentile. His vert's 88th percentile. His broad's 93rd percentile. His 3 cones 92nd percentile. Is that a plus athlete with a lot of experience playing at the SEC? And I think he's a really high floor player. I can't believe that there's not more like potential top 50 kind of buzz on Tate Ratledge. It makes me wonder what I'm missing because I think he's a really clean projection.
I'd agree with that. And he's got some teammates there at Georgia that are also part of this interior offensive line group, which we should talk about here on the other side of it, get into a little bit more of the depth of this class. So folks, be sure to stick with us. As a small business owner, your work doesn't end when the clock hits 5. Your business is always on your mind, which means when it's time to hire, you need a partner that works just as hard as you do. That's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates all in one place. You can post your job, and LinkedIn's new feature can actually help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. And here's a pro tip. Add the hashtag hiring frame to your profile picture to double your reach to get qualified candidates. There's no wonder that 72% of small businesses say that LinkedIn helps them find high-quality hires. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
Joe, before we get into top 100 guys, were you aware that Google Sheets has a character limit for how many characters you can put into it?
I learned that this morning, courtesy of you,
too.
Kyle. I've written books and posted them in Google in Google Docs, and I didn't get a character limit.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I do all my 33rd team reports in a singular doc, and it capped out at 732 pages of size 11 font with 262,046 words and 1,510,818 characters. And it said, this document is above the character limit. You must delete content before continuing.
Jeez.
So
it's unreal.
We're really prepped. We're well prepped for the 2025 NFL draft.
Listen, that's a lot of words on these prospects. So a tip to you, man. That's unbelievable.
Top 100 greats.
Yeah. So let's, because I actually have, I want to talk about these Georgia players. I have Dylan Fairchild, who was the left guard.
Yep.
As a 3.
Okay.
I have the center, Jared Wilson. That's a lot of projection. He's rough. I'm betting on
a lot of people like him.
Oh,
a lot.
I see the ceiling, but
I have a 4 on him.
It's hard, like a 1-year starter at center.
I just know he's got a lot of people that put him in like top 64.
Oh no, I can't get there. He's too herky jerky for me, you know?
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I think there's a big leap that you have to take there based off of a lot of faith.
Yeah. And just like there's a lot on a center, man. You're a glue piece for the front. You're heavily involved in protection calls. And I don't think this guy's seen enough live action to really, after drafting you in the second round, I'm thinking you're a pretty quick starter. To me, I put him in the 3rd round as a guy that I project as a starter, but someone who's going to need a little seasoning. But I did have him as my interior offensive lineman 8. Miles Frazier out of LSU gets a 3-4. And then the opposite of Miles Frazier is Marcus Mbao out of Purdue, who I also gave a 3-4.
Okay. So there's going to be some names that you heard yesterday when we did tackles. Mbao for me is IOL 7 with a high 3. I think he's a center.
Yeah, he's got to play center, right?
I wouldn't put it past anybody, but like the movement skills would be so special there for a guy that doesn't. I think he has 32s. He doesn't have good length at all.
Yeah, and I bet you his playing weight's in the 290s.
And he lost a lot of weight.
Did he?
But
he looked small to me on tape, and then he was measured 302.
And he doesn't have a real clean build yet. Like I think he did well to get to like the playing weight where his athletic profile can really shine. But I think there's some like recomposition of his body composition that he can do.
Yeah.
That can kind of help him. But for as good as his hands are, he's got like a good snatch technique, and he's got like the really nasty club to be able to get guys off balance on the edge. He just doesn't have a real big strike zone, and he can cover some of it with his quickness, but I'm much more enamored with him as like the guy who's not capped as a center and what he can do and get up on the second level or get up outside the numbers.
And he played right tackle at Purdue, right? So now that's a big switch to the inside. But I would agree, if the snapping piece works out for him, that's his best position.
And then I have Charles Grant and Anthony Belton, who are tackle people we talked about yesterday, but I think can play inside. Those two guys are IOL 8 and IOL 9. For me, Miles Frazier, I have a firm 3 on. He's IOL 10. But if you're getting rid of these tackle also eligibles, he could be as high as IOL 7 if you got rid of Will Campbell and Charles Grant and Anthony Belton. You took those guys out of the equation. That's it for top 100s for me. I have one guy that's a fringe 3-4, but he landed in the 4 bucket, the highest 4 grade I would give out, and it's Caleb Rogers from Texas Tech.
I'm unfamiliar with him. I didn't watch him.
Oh, when we're done, I got some homework for you. And it's go watch Caleb Rogers, who really impressive athletic profile. Now, he doesn't have great – he's another guy that's under 32.5 on the arm length. So he's not long, but he's played on both sides of the center. He's played guard. He's played tackle, majority right tackle, but 96th percentile vert, 87th percentile broad, 91st percentile short shuttle, 89th percentile 3-cone. It's a plus athlete at like 315. So the length's not there. It really shows up on film when you watch him as far as how he sets guys. But the fact that he has guard, tackle, flex, he's like the athletic version of Miles Frazier. Now, I think Miles is a more like technical player. I think he's a cleaner player. But Rogers has the athleticism, like he's more dynamic.
Sounds interesting. What's keeping him from a firm 3? What's the missing?
I just think that the technique where he gets by a little bit too much with just like posturally being able to get in the right place, but then like finishing reps and really securing his hands and some of the pass protection stuff because he doesn't have great length. It was some of the barriers there.
I wish that we got some athletic testing on Dylan Fairchild. He only got a broad and a vert. He was 325 at his pro day. I thought he was fairly explosive on tape, and I thought he had some power components. He's the guy that for me, like you think, look, I have a 3 on him. That's the guy that I feel like can really take a step at the next level and build on the flashes that you saw at Georgia. He kind of popped for me. I like his play demeanor quite a bit, and he's got a ton of size. Yeah,
and he's got a pretty robust athletic background too, if I remember correctly. Let's see, let me pull up my.
Is he on the freaks list?
I didn't have him on the freaks list, but he was a state champion wrestler in addition to being a 4-star recruit. I knew there was something there. So, redshirted his true freshman season in 2021, but the wrestling background, I think you can kind of see with how he plays and how he works the point of attack.
I think he was on the freaks list for weight room. 440 pound bench, 570 back squat, 370 power clean. 370 pounds is so much weight to power clean.
It's a dense human being.
Goodness gracious.
And that's at 6'5" and a quarter.
Yeah,
this is not a 6
Thank you for pointing that out, Kyle Crabbs.
Those are long levers for those power cleans when you're over 6'2", you know, like.
Listen, you're damn right there are. I get in this conversation all the time. My buddy JJ at the gym, he can really move a bunch of weight. And with all due respect, he's got to be 5'9", 5'8". I'm over here at 6'3". You know, I got to move that weight a lot further than he does.
You got to deadlift like an extra 30% to compensate because you got to be able to get that initial force up off to get your pull going.
He goes right up to the bar. Like he just goes right up to the bar and just picks it up. And I got to get like my feet set. I got to lock my lats. Got to do all these technical things. And my guy just pulls
make sure you load your glutes, right?
Yeah, man. I'm sitting here worried about
the legs,
every part of my body breaking.
The short lever guys, it's a different experience.
Different ball game. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm happy to get into that every opportunity. All right, coming up on the other side of it, I got some scenarios for Kyle. Maybe we'll get into some more sleepers. So, folks, be sure to stick with us. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. right now when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet. You'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props. From three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet on your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. They've got NFL draft props over there. They've got, of course, Major League Baseball. There's some football futures bets. I might have recently put a few bucks on Josh Allen to have more than 3,775 passing yards in 2025. So check that out. It's all over there at FanDuel. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today.
All right. I can't help but notice and note we didn't get any Wyatt Milam conversation thus far. Did you watch Wyatt?
Oh, yeah. What? I have a 4 on him. I mean,
it's likewise. He's my 142nd ranked player with a late 4.
I just didn't see a guy with a ton of body control.
Just always on the ground.
Yeah, always.
I'm like, oh, it's Liam Eichenberg.
Yeah, and you said that to me last week or something like that.
Yeah, I drilled it into your brain, didn't I?
It didn't wear the same number, if I'm not mistaken, 74 or 72 or something like that.
It's in the same couple digits.
It's impossible to ignore. Everything about it.
That's all I see. It's like, yeah, brother, just belly flopping on a slip and slide, trying to hit blocks in space. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah. And that was a little bit of a tough scene there.
So you got to the Senior Bowl, and Wyatt Milam's there, and he's in the same group with Zabel, and they're billed and measured almost identical as far as the size profile. And what really stood out to me between the two, Gray has a lot cleaner, like he's got the broader chest and the broader shoulders, and he's got a little bit more thickness in his lower half. And for a guy that was verified at 6'3" and 3/8, 315 pounds in Milam, I just didn't see the lower body build, and I think it really shows when you watch how he plays. And it's like you have to put more of your frame into some of your blocks because you don't have the natural lower body power and ground force that you're able to generate to create displacement. And that was what really stood out to me about Wyatt, and watching him that week in particular was a guy that's listed almost the exact same size, and just like seeing them in person, like the subtle differences in their build, it was really enlightening for me to kind of affirm what I thought with Milam.
Yeah, I think we see him similarly. Hopefully it comes together on the interior, gets stronger. Those are things that can happen. But I think he's going to need some work. Any deep sleepers you want to shout out here? You've usually got a name or two. I knew you did was it the Texas Tech? Was his name Caleb Rogers?
Caleb Rogers from Tech is a fringe top 100 guy for me. I like his game a lot. Jackson Slater from Sacramento State.
There it is.
He has some, not all, but some Mason McCormick vibes to his game.
Mm-hmm.
Connor Colby from Iowa is built to play in a wide zone system. If you run wide zone, Iowa runs a ton of wide zone, you want a guy that can stretch the point of attack and gets those zone tracks and understands how it works and how it's supposed to be designed, Connor Colby's your guy. I got a 5.6 on him, and I got a 5 on Slater. So those are probably the two that I would shout out the most.
All right. Ready for some scenarios, some hypotheticals?
Yes.
All right, Kyle Crabbs. You are looking for positional flexibility to get your best 5 on the field, right? You want to fill in the blanks. So you need a guy that can line up in a bunch of different spots. Versatility is the most important thing that you're looking for. Who's the guy that you think can really allow you to fill in the blanks with the skill set, and he can play a number of different spots?
It's probably Zabel, where I think he can get you through short stretches at tackle. And And I mean, you could tell me he landed at any of the 3 spots on the interior.
Yeah.
And I'd say, okay, like I know I'm probably going to eventually get a quality starter. So Zabel having the tackle experience, there's confidence, and he knocked the center reps out of the park at the Senior Bowl. Zabel, I could envision playing all 5 spots, not long-term, to be his best version of himself, but I think he's a 5-spot capable player.
Yeah. Packers would be salivating over him, but they don't actually need to pick him. So,
well, and you heard, did you see what they said about the center spot for them and what they're doing?
No, what is this?
The plan is Elgton Jenkins.
Really?
Yeah.
So where are we playing? Are we playing Morgan at right tackle?
It's a good question.
All right. Interesting. All right. We want to become a more physical rushing scheme. We want to have gap runs, inside zone. Who's that power player we need to add to the interior?
It's Tyler Booker. I mean,
I know.
We're tailor-made here. And I'll use him for this answer because you could ask me other questions and I could probably find more inspiration to invoke a name like Savaiinaea or Donovan Jackson or any of the other names that I might choose to invoke depending on the scenario. But this is the spot for a Tyler Booker. So if you want to run between the tackles and you want to run gap scheme and you want to punch people in the mouth and come downhill and do some of that 3 yards in a cloud of dust, antiquated style that all the analytics guys get real mad when you start talking about, that's your guy, Tyler Booker.
He's at the draft, Kyle Crabbs. This guy's going there. Is Ravens drafted him at 27 to be their left guard?
I just put that in my last mock, in my 7-round mock, and somebody didn't like it, I believe.
Well, imagine that. Somebody didn't like something in a mock draft. If everybody likes that's never happened in the history of mock drafts.
Right.
All right, next up, we need an option on the interior that can make us more athletic up front for an offense that likes to use our interior offensive linemen for longer pulls, getting out into space, backside cutoff. Who's got that range?
It's a Simbo for me. You're going to let him work on the inside and really give him a chance to hit those landmarks that other guys are just going to look at and be like, all right, well, I'm going to run the track and I hope I get a piece of you. Right? Like he actually has the kind of range to hit some of them. I would give an honorable mention at center, probably to Jared Wilson. I think he's athletic enough to be that kind of center.
Tell you, when it comes to this, Aaron Brewer ruined it for everybody. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it last year, man. Unbelievable.
He had a great season.
Yeah, he was terrific. All right, so we're okay with this next scenario. We're okay sacrificing some power in the run game. What we really want is somebody who's technical in the run game, can, be a good wall-off blocker, but we want that pass pro ability, somebody that's going to protect the depth of the pocket, be able to mirror those twitchy interior guys. Who's our choice for this?
I kind of want to say Will Campbell here for the sense that, like, it's projecting him inside the guard, but like he got by so well at tackle.
Yeah.
Not that and he doesn't have Tyler Booker power, right? But he's got good force. But if your top prerogative is pass protection, I think Will, with how well he did at tackle, putting him in closer quarters, I think is a nice recipe for success for him.
All right, this last one might force you to reheat a name that we already talked about, but this idea is that we want to get ahead of a future need on the interior offensive line. We want upside. That's most important. We're willing to kind of give the guy a red shirt year, be groomed to start for our team in 2026. Who can we target on day 3 that can provide us with that type of guy?
I'll go Jackson Slater here from Sacramento State, where obviously you're facing a big leap in competition. But 6'3", 311 pounds verified for Jackson Slater, is pretty effective with a lot of the pulling concepts, as far as how he fits those up. Pretty explosive. His broad jump was 76th percentile. His vertical jump was 55th percentile, so he's not like a booming athlete. He doesn't have great wingspan, and at times I think that betrays him. His center of gravity, he loses a bit. So you have that plus the level of competition, and it just kind of makes you pump the brakes a little bit. But I think he's got the right play demeanor. I think he's got good lower body power and recruitment. He's got natural leverage. So I would say Jackson Slater there.
All right. You want me to handle the outro here?
Yeah, why don't you sign us off?
All right. We'll give Kyle Crabbs a break here. Thanks for being here, folks. We got linebackers on deck for tomorrow, takes on takes for Friday. We'll get to quarterbacks on Monday as we get into draft week, and obviously very excited for what's going to happen next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thanks for being here, folks. As always, we kindly ask that you share, subscribe, rate, and review. Have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to catching up with you again tomorrow.